Ya imang madvadam veda atmanam jivamantikat. Ishanam bhuta bhavyasya natato vijugupsate. Etadvaitat. Anyone who knows proximately this self as non-different from oneself, the enjoyer of the fruits of the works, the supporter of life, etc., as the Lord of the past and the future, does not want to save the self just because of that knowledge. This is that. Moreover, yaha, anyone who, veda, knows, antikat, proximately, intimately, imam, this, atmanam, self, jivam, the sustainer of the vital force, etc., madvadam, the enjoyer of the fruits of works, as ishanam, the ruler, bhuta bhavyasya, of past, present, and future, tataha, after that knowledge, na vijugupsate, does not want to save himself because he is fearless. One wants to save the self while one is in fear and considers the self to be impermanent. But when one knows the eternal, non-dual self, then who would wish to save what? Or from whom? Etat vaitat. This is that, Brahman. Ya purvam tapaso jata madbhya purvam ajayata guham kravishyatishtantam yo bhute bhirvyapashyata etadvaitat. He sees this very aforesaid Brahman who sees the firstborn, Hiraṇyagarbha, born from consciousness, Brahman, before the five elements, as existing in the cavity of the heart, in the midst of body and senses, after having entered there. This is that. And the Tika. Yaha, anyone who, being desirous of freedom, sees the Purvam Jatani, the firstborn, Hiraṇyagarbha, as an ornament made of gold continues to be gold, so is Hiraṇyagarbha nothing but Brahman. Yaha, who, Ajayata, was born, Purvam, earlier. Earlier than what? That is being said. Adbhyaha, than water. The idea is that he was earlier than all the five elements inclusive of water, and not merely earlier than water. Tapasaha, born from Brahman, characterized by consciousness, etc. Anyone who sees that firstborn, who, after having created the bodies of gods, etc., and pravishyaguham, having entered into the cavity of the heart of everybody, tishtantam, remains in existence, bhute bihi, in association with the elements in the midst of body and senses, perceiving sound, etc. Yaha, pashyati, anyone who sees thus, sees etat vaitat, that Brahman, this very thing that is under discussion.
Namaste. So now we're getting into a really extremely interesting section of Kaṭhopaniṣad. This is where death describes the answer to Nachiketa's question. And first, before he can actually answer the literal question, does the living being exist or not after death, he has to explain what the living being is. And so he has to describe the self, Brahman, that conscious living force that is within all and makes everything happen. So first of all, he says, anyone who knows proximately the self. Now, That's different from approximately. In fact, it's the opposite. Approximate means from far away. Proximately means close up, that you really know the self intimately. In fact, you understand that you are the self, and you have realized this. And that makes all the difference in the world. Now, why would you struggle to save yourself, to cling to life, when you know the body is not the self? You have actual realization of it as a fact. And it's very easy to understand. The body is something perceived. It's different from the self. You cannot perceive the self because it's you, and you're non-different from it. You can only perceive something that's different from you. So if you can perceive the body, which you can, you can even perceive the mind. So these are different from the self. They're not a part of the self because the self doesn't have parts. The self is one and whole and complete in itself. It doesn't need anything else to exist. The self is not dependent on the body. In fact, it's the other way around. The body is dependent on the self. So, since the self is immortal and indestructible, beginningless and endless, unconditioned and free, why would anyone even think of saving it? I mean, saving what? From whom? As the text, or as the Tika says. Who is saving what from whom? No, the self doesn't need saving. Thank you very much. The self is fine in any condition of external life, because the external is not the self. And the proof is that it's perceived. I mean, really, it's quite simple. You just have to overcome the mental block caused by thinking that I am the body. And this is material conditioning, and it begins at birth. When the body is forced down through the birth canal, so much pressure is put on the body. It's a tremendous traumatic experience that makes us forget everything. It makes us forget our whole experience in the womb. Even though during the time of gestation, one is suffering so much, he prays to God, oh, please release me. But then when he actually comes out, he forgets all about God, because there is this whole world to explore. And what's the first thing everybody is going to tell you? You're my child. You are this body. I am your mother and father. Your name is Joe. Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo from Kokomo. You're one of the Kokomo Schmoes. By the way, for those who are not familiar with American culture, a Schmo is just like a completely ordinary, nondescript, run-of-the-mill, not too smart person. So a Schmo is just like, an idiot, right? And Kokomo is a town, an industrial town in the Midwest of the U.S., which is like completely overrun with this type of people. So Joe Schmo from Kokomo means this is like just the lowest of the low, manual laborer type of, stupid person. So anyway, the parents, the school, the society, everyone is telling you, you are this body. You are Joe Schmo. You are nothing. You are an idiot. You have to listen to us. These other people that you read in these books are much smarter than you, and they have solved all the problems and answered all the questions, so you have to learn all this. And again, the attention is always fixed externally. I call this compulsive extroversion, and it's one of the things that is taught in school, not specifically, but just by the environment. You have to always be listening to the teacher in case she asks you a question. And if you can't answer that question, then you get shamed. Huh? I mean, it's such an obviously punitive system of conditioning. It is horrible. That's not what education is supposed to be like. Education is supposed to be about your passion, your curiosity, your intention for what you want to become. So when a person grows up in a system like that, they forget all about the self. This is a great danger because they don't know who they are. And we see adolescents all over the world today groping and exploring and trying this and trying that, trying to find out, who am I? And what they really need to know is, you are the self. You are indestructible, birthless, deathless, pure consciousness. And because of you, the body exists. And because of the body, the world seems to exist. Even though the world is actually an illusion, because everything is temporary. But no, instead, people are taught all these names and forms and supposed to memorize and believe in all these designations, different positions in society and in different organizations, which are all simply abstractions, all simply words. It's nothing. So what is real? In the next verse, he says, this very Brahman who is born as Hiraṇyagarbha is present within the heart. Now, this is a big piece of information. The Lord is present in the heart. You want to see God? You want to know God? Look in your heart. That's where you will find God. And even though Hiraṇyagarbha is the same as Virat, in other words, is also death. Why? Because he is time. From him, time emanates. And this ticking clock begins at birth, or actually before birth. And it delimits our existence in the form of the body. So there's a saying in Vedic astrology, one's death is born along with one's birth. So simply by examining the birth chart, we can see, or at least approximate, the longevity of the person. So what does this mean for the meditator, for the one who wants to realize God? It means if you want to find God, look within the heart. You don't have to go any further. You don't have to go outside to some temple. You don't have to join some group with all the attendant politics and all the nonsense that goes on. You don't have to study a bunch of books. Just look in your heart. Meditate on your heart. Get up early in the morning, take bath, just as described in the scriptures. But instead of chanting mantras and all this stuff, or doing puja or all that, just sit and meditate on your heart. If you're sincere, if you're pure, if you're not compulsively extroverted and chasing after the objects in the material world with desire, over time, just by this meditation alone, you will realize God. I have the experience. When I had my enlightenment experience in 1984, that's how it started. I didn't know what to do. I had no real idea how to meditate. I just knew I wanted to try it. And I had a nice place and a bunch of time. So I just sat down and put my attention on my heart and watched my breathing and waited. I did nothing. That's the whole point. Non-doing. It means you're not engaged with the senses and the mind. You're not extroverted, you're introverted. And this is the mental poise of one who is truly in meditation. And this is what leads to authentic self-realization. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Aum Namah Shivaya.